Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Joe France from the Christian Children's Home of Ohio. And it's the Christian Children's Home, but they don't have to be Christian children to be there, right?
No, that's right. The Christian just denotes our heart behind the ministry we do.
And part of your heart is a new book coming out. I love this, The Father's Day Miracle, the day everything changed for the Cleveland faithful. Okay, I'm a Cleveland faithful, so you know I've lived through the heartbreak of all of the things that started with the drive, the fumble, the shot. I can name them all. What's this book about, Joe?
You know, it's interesting. I was driving home, and it was prior to Game 7, and I was talking with our marketing person on the phone, and we were discussing, you know, could they win? Could they pull this out? And I threw out this idea of the Father's Day Miracle. What if we grabbed that? What if we grabbed that domain name? We didn't even know what we were going to do with it at first.
And how funny that I have to ask you, which Game 7 are you talking about? Because this year has been quite a year.
Yes. Game 7 of the Cleveland Cavs.
There you go.
The championship. And so the more we went down this path, we really saw an intersection between what we pass on to, as fathers especially, what we pass on to our kids in terms of sports and cheering for our home teams, and for years being disappointed with that, but yet placing that at such a high priority in our lives. And you know, sports is a big deal in Northeast Ohio, and so but just as much, and hopefully more so, is our faith. And so the intersection between passing along our faith and to generations, and being faithful fans, and just that intersection of all of those worlds. So we're looking for stories. We're working with some local celebrities. I won't name them today, but you'll have to get the book and see. And we are also looking for just fans in general that would resonate with this idea of passing on the sports heritage, and how did they celebrate the championship, and how do they pass along their faith to their kids, and maybe how their father passed on. So in some cases, it might be all three generations were gathered around the TV, right, or
absolutely
watching the game unfold. And at the same time, we also gather to have community in the Christian faith.
It's you're so right. It's an interesting project for something like the Cleveland Children's Home of Ohio to become involved with. What are your hopes for it? What do you hope and dream will happen with this?
Well, at the Christian Children's Home of Ohio, one of the things that we're hoping to do is highlight the need for fathers to step up in the lives of kids. So often kids come to us, they don't have a father in their life. We try to provide those father figures while they're there. In our foster care families, we have men that have stepped up, and families that have stepped up and tried to provide that stability and that father figure. And there's just a connection that's needed there that's missing in much of society. So we want to talk about it in a fun way, about sport, but also to tie that together with faith and fatherhood. And so this book will be something we'll give away mostly. It'll be for sale through the typical channels as well, but we'll give it away with donations. And coming up actually at our April 8th gala next spring, we hope to highlight this and feature a speaker that will tie these things together.
Will it be one of the people who maybe contributed to the book, perhaps?
It very well could be.
Very cool.
We've got a few things in the works.
Joe, what is it, in your opinion, what is it about sports that does that? Because I know what you're talking about, and I will just say personally, during the World Series, one of our sons lives out in California now. We FaceTimed through the World Series so that we could all be together watching it. You know, even though they're 3 hours different time, we were all watching the same game, all doing the highs and lows at the same time. But we wanted to experience it all together because when he was a little boy, we all experienced that all together at what was then called Jacobs Field. So what is it about sports that does that tie, that just bonds you together? In your opinion, no wrong answer here.
No, it's a good question. It's a good question. I think it's the shared experience of coming together, of being able to encourage each other, to cheer on the team. I think that, being able to overcome defeat and being able to overcome difficulties. When you're down the Cavs like they were 3-1, the odds were against them.
It had never been done before.
Nobody thought they could do it, right? It had never been done. And in life, we experience similar things. We go up against situations, whether it's cancer or different things in life, traumas, things going on in our marriages and with our kids. And sometimes it feels like we can't overcome it. And I think one of the big parallels is being able to come through that. We know that as big as this miracle was for the Cavs, and it was big, and we cheer it on, and we're excited, but we know that the biggest miracle is when God gets involved, right, in our lives. And so I really think it is that coming together, overcoming defeat, overcoming the odds, because we watch games sometimes, and some games aren't all that exciting. But when we have our teams in the championships and they have to overcome all the odds and they win, it's just a euphoric moment, right?
It's amazing. It was amazing. I'm glad I lived to see the day. What is going on in Northeast Ohio? There seems to be something very exciting happening here in our community, and maybe it's because I get to sit in this chair and talk to people every day about cool things happening. But God is at work.
He absolutely is, and it's interesting. I've sensed that for a while now, and it seems to be becoming more and more obvious. You see it. Everybody you talk to, they just talk about that they say the same kind of a thing. They say something's happening, right? And it is sometimes hard as the wind blows, right, to know what God's up to exactly. But when you see children coming to somebody that's been abused and abandoned, coming to a children's home and finding Christ,
yes,
and moving out of their desperate situation, and when you see, sports figures coming back to a city to invest in kids, and when you see, churches partnering together to impact the foster care system and to impact children, I really think God's positioning us as adults to really invest in that next generation, and He's doing it in all different and creative ways, even through sports.
You're going to make me cry. All right, Father's Day Miracle, the day everything changed for the Cleveland faithful. Where and how do we get this?
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to follow along the journey there's two places to go. You can go to fathersdaymiracle.com and get some more information. If you have a story to share, you can submit it through the website. Or you can go to our Facebook page, which is just facebook.com/FathersDayMiracle. Right now, we're building an audience online. We're growing the brand, so to speak, and we'll be talking a lot more about the book in the new year.
How can we help you at Christmas? How can we get more involved with what you're doing right now?
Well, I appreciate you asking. And, Christmas season and year-end giving, we'd love to finish strong. There's a lot of work to do. If people will visit our website, they can go to ccho.org/Christmas. If they'll go there, they can learn how they can make a donation to help the kids. It really ties into what we talked about earlier, the heart of Christmas. And knowing that the real heart of Christmas is when God sent His Son, and He was generous. He was a giver, and He gave that gift. And so we just ask people in their busy life, but they're going to gather with friends and family, and they're going to be out in the malls and the stores and staying up all hours of the night to get those gifts and have that fun. If they could work a little something into the budget this year for the Christian Children's Home of Ohio, we'd be humbled.
My 4-year-old granddaughter, getting the concept of celebrating Jesus' birthday by giving gifts to each other, just is blown away by this, and she just said, "Wow, thanks, Jesus."
That's awesome.
That's a pretty good. They're so profound, aren't they? When they're 4, something that people would be surprised, perhaps, to find out about CCHO is that you've heard about Encompass and Encompass Counseling, that's part of you as well.
It is, and we are working towards some rebranding. The heart that you'll see in our new CCHO logo will also be incorporated into the Encompass brand. And so it's kind of one heart. We have many services, but that one heart behind it all. And a lot of people don't realize, but we have over any given month, we'll have thousands of hours of counseling that we have with adults, not just children, but adults and families throughout Northeast Ohio. We have somewhere around 15 locations. Most of them are actually located in or near a local church. And so we'll partner with the church and we'll provide Christian counseling services.
Now, much of this counseling, I'm guessing, is for the parents and families of the children that you're serving to be able to help them reenter the home and do the different type of parenting skills, as you were talking about earlier, of things that work with these children rather than things that do not work.
Some of it is that, certainly, and that was the catalyst behind the start of our counseling services so that we could go even off of our campus in Worcester, Ohio, and begin to offer these services. God has blessed us through the years to be able to do those things and to expand that way. And what we've found is that most local churches that are, especially if they're vibrant, if they're growing, if they're reaching new people, and people are coming in and they're bringing their hurts and they're bringing their struggles and they're having difficulties at home, maybe not to the extent that the county has to step in and remove a child, but they're struggling. And perhaps a family is in a small group and they're talking. Imagine that you're talking and you're new to a small group and you start opening up about things like maybe your teenage daughter is cutting herself, and you really are at your wit's end. You don't know what to do. The people in that small group most likely are going to comfort you. They're going to encourage you. They're going to pray for you. They may even refer you to the pastor to get further help. Where we're finding a big help is as we step in and partner with local churches, it helps take some of the burden off of the pastors who may or may not really be trained to work through some of these tougher issues.
Right.
And then it gives them a very convenient way within the confines of their church, their local church, to refer, and we can get them the help they need so that they can get back on that healthy path of discipleship. And so we're finding that churches are very open to that, and we're able to provide a lot of help, not just to children, but to families.
Oh, it's a wonderful outreach to the churches. A lot of times people in the church they don't feel open or free to admit there's a problem, because we're a good church family. We're not supposed to have problems. You're able to address that, yes?
I think so. I think churches that tend to partner with us, they have more of an openness to they understand that. They know that it can get messy, but it's worth it, and to dig into that.
Joe, what's the best way people can reach you again, please?
I would say if they want to reach out to me specifically, email's always the best. Franz, F-R-A-N-Z, the letter J, @ccho.org. Or certainly give me a call in the office at 330-345-7949.
And you can go to ccho.org to find out about anything we've talked about, and particularly ccho.org/Christmas to be able to help you out with the heart of Christmas. Joe Franz, thanks for all you do in our community.
Thank you, Susie.